All right. So if you're in a place where you're feeling like you're in the middle, right? So if you've already started your business, you've launched this goal that you have, and you're at a point now where, man, you want more, or you are experiencing a time where you're like, man, it's just me, or I'm expanding my team, but you really just feel like you're in the middle, but you're ready for your next. This episode of Position Your Goals for you. So, welcome to the Position Your Goal podcast. I am your host, Denisha Ferguson, and we talk about how to plan, position, and prosper your goals. And these are life, business, whatever you got going on, but I primarily talk about business because the thing about it is building generational wealth and also being an impact in the world. And my personal beliefs is that business is part of how you do that, right? And having a business that helps others to do the same. And so, anyway, when we dive right into this, when you think about your being in the middle, what are you in the middle of? So whenever you're in a place where you're like, man, I want more, you start feeling anxious, start looking online and you seeing everything about the soft life. The soft life. I laugh at it because it's so interesting. Because the thing about when you see posts is that, or someone who speaks, sometimes it may be a topic to just get everybody's attention, right? It may be a topic that only shares one side of it. And yeah, the soft life sounds great, right? And I make sure I incorporate that in my daily or weekly routine whenever I can. But when it comes down to it, there's work to be done. It's just the aligned work and how you structure what you do so that you're not running around here all crazy, got all kind of, your health starts depleting, don't take care of your family and, all these other things because you're so caught up in work because it got to be done. That's how you set it up. Or the thing about it is thinking about how can I incorporate that in my life. So nothing I'm like anti-soft life. I mean, definitely, definitely incorporate it. But I think it is deceiving, especially as a new business owner, when you hear about the soft life and you can be, and even as somebody that's established, you're like, oh man, I got all this work to do, just remembering why you signed up for it, why you do the work that you do, and then finding systems, incorporating systems, your infrastructure, your team, your processes, how you show up so that you can have that ease and flow in business. In addition to being able to handle the ish that comes with it too. So anyway, I kind of diverted a little bit off of that, but I want to give you some tips on if you're feeling like you're in the middle on how to position your goal and position yourself. The first thing is the Bible says don't be anxious, right? Like the thing about it is when we're anxious, when we start getting that, we may make decisions, and I have. Look, I'm looking at you like I'm then some people just listening to me, like listen to my voice. I have just pull back a little bit. You actually do have some more time. Negotiations and you know what I mean, taking your time to ponder things. That's a thing that should be done, right? I always have to be in a rush. But I get it. Sometimes life circumstances, things that's going on, shifts and changes you may have, especially with you feeling like you're in the middle, it can have you feeling like you're not good enough, that you're not doing enough, that, oh, you need to hurry and make a decision. And you'll know when that time comes. But most times, you got a little time to think about it, right? So using that as a superpower to just say, okay, I feel like I'm in the middle. I want to make some changes. And the first thing I would say again with positioning your goals, your next steps is to pull back a little bit so you got time to think and not let you being anxious or what you're coining as anxiety or fear or anything else. Don't let that overtake you, right? You are a success. You are the decision maker, right? You have the authority. And so you want to do what's best for you, your company, this idea you have, this goal that you just released, whatever it is that you're working on, you want to know that you're in control. And why are you in control? Because God's got you, right? this is something that you've been having assignment over, that you can rule over. And then because you are yielding to God, because you know that you stepped out on faith and this is something that God wants you to do, then God's got you. So know that in the decision that you have. And you might be like, well, I don't want to talk about God. Well, look, I talk about God. So you might want to turn this off. But either way, that's what I believe. And I know that especially if you're listening to this, just trust and believe that God's got you. So pump your brakes a little bit, okay? Before you start making rash decisions and start jumping into things, and just say, okay, let me do some more research. Let me really think. Let me talk to God. Let me make sure that this is the next step. Because oftentimes, which moves me to the next step, is you've already gotten instructions on what your next step is. And it's really important to go back into your notes, to your mind thoughts, and think about what are some things that I was already supposed to do before I jump to the next thing, right? So that's the second thing, thinking about what is it that I already need, that I know that I need to do, that I have not taken those steps to do yet, right? And you might be like, man, you diving right on in here. I am, right? Because your future self is depending on you, right? Is depending on you. The choices you make today, right? They will show up tomorrow, this week, 10 years, 20 years, 30. They will show up, right? And sometimes you got to live with it every day. And so just thinking about, again, pumping your brakes a little bit so you can think, taking inventory of whatever you know that you was already supposed to do, because you want to handle that, even if it means you handling your responsibility, doing the main things you got to do, but then dedicating the next 30 days, the next 60 days, the next year, the next 2 months, 2 days, whatever it is, you know what you got to do. If you got to hire someone or something that you can do, or you can recruit family members, something like that, to help you, by golly, get some help, because you're not on this journey alone. But take the time to handle whatever it is. If it's paperwork, whatever, take the time to unplug and handle that, because all that's going to do is help you in your next. So 1, pumping your brakes, taking some time to think. 2, thinking about what you already were supposed to do that you didn't do. And I'm not just talking to you, I'm talking to myself too. Like, I'm always going back and like, oh, I don't really want to do that. Okay, let me just do it. And sometimes it's hard, right? Because I don't want to do that. I want to be making pretty things and traveling and going, producing events and, going to some really cool meetings. And, I want to do it. But sometimes I'm like, I don't want to do that. And you just got to handle it. You just got to handle it, right? And I'm so grateful for my experiences in research and data and paperwork, you know what I mean, that it helps me a lot with my creative side, because my creative side want to go and create, right? And I lead with that a lot, because it helps me dream and come up with ideas for others and build amazing things. And so I definitely don't suppress that. But there's sometimes you got to handle your business. You got to handle your business, right? So you can grow whatever it is that you are growing. And so that's one thing. Then you want to take an inventory of you, right? So what do you have going on right now? What's your family schedule? What is, are you a caregiver, a parent? Are you wanting to make sure that you carve out time to go to your, nieces and nephews events and things that they have going on? Determine what is important to you and put that on your calendar, right? Because regardless of what goals that we have, what is true is our family, what's true is our loved ones, what's true is what really matters to you. And as you're on this journey of accomplishing your goals, your dreams, the things that you want to do, they're growing, they're evolving, and you might be like, well, I don't want to do it, but I want a garden. I got a garden. And like 3 days ago, had to clean it up. And a lot of stuff had dried up, and the season's changing, so it's part of the routine to go clean up. But it's work, and I'm grateful that I got my son and my husband that help take care of it, right? But that's something that still matters to us, that needs to be tended to. And so that's the thing about it. Whether you say, oh, I really don't have anybody that I want to carve out extra time for, whatever, it might be your dating life, it might be your home, whatever it is, make sure that that's handled, because when we're doing our goals and dreams and things like that, sometimes you may run into different concerns and things, and that you like places that you really wanted to be in, and you find out that it's superficial or that it's really not what you wanted after you done climbed and knocked down some doors and, you know, wrote proposals, and you find out you really didn't want that, right? Or you find out I really did want it, right? And that's a great thing too. You find that out, and then but now you have nothing surrounding you. Your families are, your son's kids are already in college or were doing their own thing. They used to you not being around. Your you didn't save or do specific things to help yourself with whatever goals you may have later on in life. You know, you may find that now your significant other, your loved one have drifted apart. No, you want to take inventory of the things that matter to you and make sure that you're carving out that time too in it. And I know, like me, I'm very ambitious. And when I'm doing something, I'm doing it. And I will dive in to my work, right? And I will work on it until it's done. And I have to like really, once I had my son, he's 9 now, really be like, okay, I don't want him to get to be 18 and not understand what I do, not understand business, not understand like the fundamentals and just things in life, you know, and, you know, have certain qualities and things like that. And so it woke me up like, hey, I need to make sure that I'm handling the things I need to do with my son. And I know that, but, you know, I'm so ambitious that it's easy to, a client needs you and you say, okay, well, I can't do that now this weekend, but I'll and go do whatever the client needs. So just making sure that you structure your business, whatever this thing you're doing, make sure you structure in a way where you are taking an inventory of what matters most to you in your life, and that you have that and it's cared for, whatever you decide that is. The next thing is you want to look at what activities, what things do I need to do at the highest level that's going to help move the needle forward for whatever my goals are. So say, for instance, you are launching a product or service, which is primarily what I assist with, right? And you're going to do that next summer. Well, thinking about, okay, you say, okay, it's 6 months away. Is that realistic? Like, ask yourself that question. Is that realistic? And I'm looking at myself when I say that, okay? Because I'm real ambitious and I know what I'm going to do, right? I trust myself to do it, and I'm going to do it. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So do you trust yourself enough to do it? And in 6 months, with whatever your family got going on, all the things you need to create, like, are you simplifying your launch plan as much as you can? Have you built an audience? You know, there's a long list of stuff that you can do. It's doable, you know, but what type of support you're going to need, what activities are the best thing for you to be doing. You know, again, I'm real creative, so I don't know about you, but sometimes I go into Canva and I just have a great time. And so I put a timer on my phone or whatever's called my clock, so that I know that, okay, you got 40 minutes, you got 20 minutes. I needed to make an update a couple days ago to my website, and I had already had the template made, and I said, you got 15 minutes, period. You got 15 minutes, right? And then you got to go. You got to get off of it, because I know myself, and I just get in creative land. I start imagining, and ideas start coming to me, and, you know, I just want to create. I just have fun, especially coming from using Adobe and Photoshop and InDesign. Like, those are different design programs, like using those. And a lot of times I would build from scratch, you know, just because I didn't, you know, I'm learning as I go, but I actually got good at it. But thinking about Canva is so easy. But anyway, so thinking about what do you need to support you, and then can you really trust you to get it done? Like, you got to ask yourself these questions, because if you're like, you know what, these are some of my triggers. You know, I like to watch Netflix and I'll be on there for a couple days. I scroll. Like, for instance, if I do have, like, I will catch myself scrolling, right? But my thing is, if I have not posted about what I need to post about for my business, I'm not allowed to scroll, right? And that's just something internally that I have with myself, right? And I say other stuff to myself. That's just an example. So putting things in place to help you so that you can help yourself to be successful in these areas, because you know your habits. And so if you can find ways to help yourself when those things show up, like if you know come 8:00 you're done, then why are you scheduling stuff later on to do it, right? But maybe your schedule has shifted and you gotta work. You gotta put in the time for these 2 hours because you gotta work your day job, your night job, whatever thing you gotta do for the rest of the week. So you gotta be able to be accountable to yourself and what you say that you want. So again, take an inventory, think about what it is you need to support you on your journey, for your habits, and then also for whatever you're about to do. So like I mentioned a minute ago about the launch, how can you simplify this process? So like if it's just you, right? You know, can you hire someone else like on a Fiverr, Upwork? Is it somebody else you know that does that and has that skill set and that's what they do, right? That's their zone of genius. Not somebody that got a whole bunch of stuff they know how to do, right? Because I am one person that knows how to do a lot of stuff, right? But you want to get somebody that specifically specializes in that. That way, you know, as far as the efficiency of it, it's up to par. And then you will definitely want to test them out and also get samples and even a referral of their work. Whole nother conversation that if you want to talk about how to get team members and get contractors and things like that. If that's something that you want, we can definitely talk about it. I even talk about like interns, but everything that you add to it requires you to have a process, requires you to be able to communicate effectively and have the assets needed so they can do their job, right? So that's a whole nother conversation. So think about what do you need that can support you in your overall goal, and then you're going to reverse engineer it. Okay, so if you know in 6 months, in a year, you're going to do X, Y, Z. All right, so let's start breaking it down. What does that look like month by month? What needs to be done? And then in that, it's always about building that community, showing that you're the person for that, right? So that you're top of mind, and also that you give value out into the world so people know, like that's what you do. How's somebody gonna find you if they don't know what you do? How's somebody gonna find you if they don't know what you do? Boo, boo. I just did that because it might wake somebody up who was just asleep because they need to hear this and they hanging on. I just did that to wake you up. Anyway, no, seriously, what is it? All right, so just think about what is it? How do I need to show up? What is something that's not going to overexert me where I don't want to do it anymore, right? To something that I can be consistent in, and it leads to what I am working towards, right? And that it's a solution to somebody else. If you're offering a paid service, like if you're like, oh, my goal is to travel the world, yeah, you can learn about stuff here too, but I'm going to talk primarily about business. All right. And so the other thing is being grateful on this journey. So yes, you're in the middle. Yes, you're in the middle, right? But you've also overcame. You have experienced some things, right? Think about it. 2, 3, 4, 5, yesterday, whatever the time frame, you might have wanted to be in the position that you are in now, right? You might have. It just might look different, but you might have wanted this goal. And if you're in the middle, that means you actually have taken that leap. You've already got it established or at least going, and now you're ready for your next, right? And so it's looking at, okay, well, yeah, I'm not where I was. So thinking about being grateful and showing that gratitude in this time. That being grateful and having that gratitude goes a long way, because it's a couple things. Like, as you're going after your goals and dreams and things that you have, especially as a business owner, there's going to be some moves you make that people don't agree with. There's going to be some moves that you make that may bother someone. You might have to let somebody go. You might have experienced somebody else who was just like a horrible client. Maybe you didn't communicate great enough, and things were, not as they you didn't communicate, and they weren't exactly how you were thinking it was gonna go, and it was a miscommunication, or the list goes on, right? And it can be times where you question yourself and what you're doing. But my thing is, that's why it's really important to know, like that this is something that you're supposed to be doing, right? And not because somebody else told you, not because you think it's the newest trend, because it's work, okay? Not because you think that it's gonna be easy. Now there is an ebb and flow, right? But there also is, man, the thing about God is, for me, is leaning into what God told me to do, right? And knowing that God wants me to be successful. I got to be successful for God, right? And so God's going to put every single thing that I need in place to make sure that it happens, right? Now, that's the thing though. It might not be exactly what I'm thinking, right? Or it might look a little different, or it might come later, right? But it's having that faith to know that I know this is what I'm supposed to be working on, right? And this is what I'm supposed to be working on is breaking down the specific things that you're supposed to be working on in the main vision. Because that doesn't mean you're supposed to be working on every single task, right? Now, I do believe in you knowing all the tasks, like you knowing your business so that you can explain it, and you know how much time it takes, and you know the ins and outs, so that when you do start bringing in other individuals to help you, who are genius in their areas, you bring them in and you already know, and you can go in and check it. You're not just setting it and forgetting it. You're not just automating it and living the laptop lifestyle and not knowing what's going on in your business. No, that's a recipe for some ish, right? And so just leaning in to, this is what you're supposed to be doing. So identifying the highest things that you gotta that is meant for you to work on, right? And then asking yourself this question: do I really need to do this? Is this really the highest level? This is really the thing that I should be working on, right? And again, if it's just you and you gotta do it, handle your business, but it won't be like this all the time, right? It won't be like this forever, but at least you'll know how to jump in, right? So let me know in the comments below if this making sense, if this resonating with you. Let me know. My whole thing is coming up and showing you different strategies going on in the market, strategies that other people have done, and then you taking what only you need and applying it right now, right? So if you're like, all I need to do right now is do some things that I know that I was already supposed to do, right? Then that should be the only thing that you're working on. And in the context of part of your strategy, right? So you might have to, you still got to live, right? So you got other stuff that you are working on, but in the context of my main focus right now when it comes to the time I've allocated, these 3, 4, 10, 20, whatever hours I have over the next couple of weeks, this is allocated to me handling my business on the things that I said that I already know I'm supposed to be doing, that I already know I was supposed to do, right? And like even now, I got a room. I'm cleaning out this closet. Once I clean it up, it would make it so much easier because then I'll have another space, right? And so it's about halfway done. But I know that before the end of this month, it's got to be handled, right? But I also knew other stuff that I'm doing, right? And so I just been doing step by step, right? And then I haven't had a full day to be able, because it's just, I got other stuff to do. So just think about it. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, even if it's something that's going to take you a few weeks, but make it non-negotiable that it's done, right? I prioritized my garden because it needed to be clean. And I'm like, okay, I got to get it out. I got to finish this before the trash come. The trash come on this day. Okay, I got these 2 days that I can get it done. The first day I went to go visit with a family member that I wanted to check on, and that ended up turning into like a 4-hour thing. And then after that, my son, helping him with his work and things like that. And then the next morning, I was like, I gotta slay this dragon right now. So I literally took my son to school, came back home. It was cold, knocked it out in an hour, right? Knocked it out. And so that right there was like, okay, such a relief. That's done. Now I can move forward so that once the next step for my garden, once the next step is it's ready, versus leaving all those weeds and stuff out of there. So what weeds are growing in your area, and what do you are finding someone else to help you with it? And it doesn't always have to be you, but making sure that it gets done. You may say, well, you know what, I need to just set up my systems, the activities that I'm going to be doing. I need to reverse engineer and really think about where I see myself in the next year, 6 months, or with this launch. And then let me really map out these activities. Let me put some things in place to hold me accountable, because I know my habits and I do XYZ certain times, and I do it often. So you got to have some self-awareness, right? And if you don't, then it's like, start practicing and start looking at your activities, at the end of the week, taking account of where your time went. It's really, honestly, if you fed up with stuff, like if you're like, you know what, I'm going after this, I'm unapologetically doing it. And I got a lot of confidence just because of my family, right? And also my parents and my I've been turning ideas into reality since I was a teenager. So I know it can be done. And I also know the challenges that come with it. I also know the things about myself that I've learned over time, that shows up, that I've had to work through, right? Time management, making sure the paperwork's right, making sure people are on contracts, like just things that I've had to learn. And then me setting up my own routines. So thinking about what it is that you need to do so that you can position this goal that you have and that you can accomplish it, because you can do it. And if you also know that you're already an accomplishment, like you are already a success, like you don't need to be trying to break down no tables, or did I say that right? Break down no doors or a table, or I try to sit at a table, right? And my thing is always being like, wherever I'm at, people gonna find me. They gonna just find me. But how they gonna find me? They gotta know what I do. So putting myself strategically in certain spots, certain places, certain things online. I'm updating my website now too, so that people can find me and be informed, versus me, like I used to do in the past, running around, hair sweating out. By the time I get to the place, I look like I'm all frazzled and stuff, when really I'm just trying to introduce myself. Just got off a flight, walk blocks, trying to get to these buildings. People don't even know I'm coming, knocking on doors, just trying to make connections, right? And I laugh at myself now on the stuff I done did, staying on people's couches, all kind of stuff. Not even thinking about it, just hungry and ambitious, right? But anyway, over time, you learn that, you're already a success. Yes, there's work to be done, but the right work. Sometimes you're like, oh, don't try to force yourself to try to figure out what's the right work, what's the right work. You'll know what the main things that you need to do, right? If you need to do, not that you only want to do because you want to micromanage it. That's a whole other conversation. But things that that these are the highest level things that I need to do. This is how I need to show up so that I can continue on with the goals that I have and set myself up for success, because I'm already a success. Now just putting myself out there and not feeling like I have to conform or, change who I am. I'm gonna evolve and be a better version of me, but not that I have to step outside of the things that I know to be right about myself, my goals, my dreams, the impact I want to make on the world, and the things that I know that I'm meant to do. And see, some things you're not gonna know, and that's okay, right? That's the thing. Some things is just too much for you to know right now. That's why I say always go back and make sure there's something that you've already completed, or if it haven't completed, handle that, so that when it shows up in your next stage, you were already prepared And so I really hope this is helpful to you. Just to recap those, the one number one was take inventory of you, your habits, the things you want to do, the things that, and I'm combining this actually, but the things that you know that you were already supposed to do, go handle those. Think about what you really want and reverse engineer that. Reverse engineer it. And then set forth the activities and the things, the places, whatever you need to put in place. Start working on those and set, objectives each month for you to be able to accomplish that, and be unapologetic about it. Set the time aside, know your habits and what can keep you from moving forward on it. And then make it a flexible plan, right? Because I my thing is plan A is plan A, right? But there's all kind of ways. There's all kind of ways, right? There's multiple pathways. There's multiple pathways, right? And so not one thing that somebody else says is going to work for you. It may not work for you, but another way might, right? And it sticks to plan A. So just knowing that, and then having gratitude on this journey, because where you are, you're right where you need to be. And I know sometimes that could be challenging to hear and to really believe and see when you're seeing certain things that don't match up with what you really see in your head, like what you really know. I know that it doesn't match up often. Your bank account don't match up with the goal that you have, the business you want to launch. But again, the resources are all around you. And so if you take what you see and say, yeah, I know that. I know that there's not enough money in the account. I know that there's but what can I do? Right? And then how can I dream even bigger and make some calls, complete some grants, complete some, depending on what you're eligible for, submit for a proposal, get into some other groups, not that you're trying to fit in or conform, but that you're getting knowledge and that you are utilizing as part of your goals, right? And watch how opportunities come, because you're not just looking at what you see, right? Sometimes that's deceiving, because you can be like, oh, I don't have it. And then you got all kind of stuff in your house that you didn't take inventory of, which again was part of the first thing to do. Take inventory of what you have. And be grateful, which I just talked about that. And then move boldly. Your future self is depending on you. You. Right? You. Yeah. Right? So take care of yourself. Know that you can do it. Why can you do it? Because God got you. Right? And I'd love to hear from you. So I'm actually going to get off because I have 2 more things I need to handle for today before my son gets off. And lots of love. Remember that on this journey of life, it is a journey, right? It's like they say, it's a marathon and not a sprint. And so really dig into what it is that you are seeking, what you want, your goals, your dreams, and know that there's a strategic way to position yourself so that you're going after it. Now, know that you might try to do everything right and it doesn't go right. But if you position yourself in a way that is in alignment with what you seek, you're going to set yourself up. You're going to set yourself up for something great. And it's better for you to position yourself in the things that you want to seek and do versus not positioning yourself. Because even when you are not positioning yourself, you're positioning yourself. So if you're playing small, you're positioning yourself to play small. So even if you don't want to position yourself, you're positioning yourself, whether you consciously are being aware of it or not. So anywho, it's my mission to help people all over the world to realize the power in them and move boldly in their ideas, their goals, their dreams. And then on this journey, it inspires me, and I'm gonna definitely do it. I'm gonna definitely do it, which is part of why this podcast is started. So anyway, again, thank you for tuning in to the Position Your Goal podcast, where we talk about how to plan, position, and prosper your goals. I'm Denisha Ferguson, and thank you so much for tuning in. Next time we're gonna be breaking down some more strategies, right? Positioning your goal, especially when you are in a place that you don't feel like has enough resources. So I'm gonna actually show you how to find some resources. All right. Okay. So I'll talk to you soon, and have a blessed, amazing, great day. You got it.